My father contacted me after 13 years. Should I reconnect? So my parents got divorced when I was about 11. My sister was 2. I was young, but still old enough to understand what was happening. My sister and I stayed with my mom. Dad never tried to get custody, and we did the split weekends and holidays thing. About 2, maybe 3 months later, my dad announced me that he'd met someone. I was surprised but genuinely happy for him. I didn't want to imagine him alone all the time, so I was glad he had someone there for him when I wasn't around. Shortly after, they moved in together. She also had 2 kids from her previous marriage. And around 6 months after the divorce with my mom got officially pronounced, Dad and his new GF announced they were getting married. To me, and a lot of people, it just seemed like they lied to us, and we're together long before the divorce. Obviously, they never said that, always denied it. But getting remarried after 6 months is quite suspicious. Anyways, so they got married. I got along quite well with my now stepbrother. We were around the same age. Not so well with his sister, who was younger and a real piece of work, her own mom's words. And no, I can't say I got along very well with my dad's new wife either. She was always hoovering the house early in the morning when we were still trying to sleep. No, she didn't have work to go to on weekends. Or calling my dad just to tell him I hadn't made my bed that morning. Very silly things like this, which seem like nothing when I think about them now, but can get annoying quite quickly when you're a kid. So while my relationship with his wife wasn't going great, things weren't great at Mom's either. One day we received a letter saying my dad didn't want to pay as much child support anymore, claiming he had too many debts. Yes, he had, of course. He was having a house built for him and his new family, and also had just bought a new BMW. On the other hand, my mom had only been working part-time for quite a while due to illness, had to feed us, send us to school, overall raise us, but had no debts. Yet, he managed to win in court. The whole thing, added to how bad I felt when I was at his place, just got me mad, and I decided to see a lawyer to not have to go see him again, which was something I decided to do, so he should still have been taking care of my sister on split weekends and holidays. Yeah, well, clearly he thought differently, cause she never saw him again either. She was 5 by then, and I was 14. I tried to reconnect a couple times through the years, each time hitting a wall. The best message I can remember was, "If for you I don't have a wife, then I don't have daughters anymore." The years went by, bringing their load of crap here and there. I honestly can't remember half of it anymore, except the part that completely broke me years later. I was then in uni, in a city close to where my gran, his mom, lived. I was still in contact with her, and very much loved her, so I would go spend the weekend at her place at least once a month, and that made us both very happy. Until a year later, when he tried to stop paying child support altogether, illegal where I lived until the child had a job. This time my mom won in court, and he had to keep paying. He must have lied or manipulated my gran cause when I called her up one night to announce I just passed my license degree. She was mad on the phone and blamed me for stealing my dad's money, and then hung up. So that was it. My relationship with her was then destroyed, he got what he clearly wanted, and I didn't hear from her at all for years. Flash forward to 2 years ago, after moving to another country. Out of nowhere, I received a message request on FB from a friend of my gran's, announcing me that my gran had cancer, and that she didn't have much longer to live. I booked a flight to go see her 2 days later, and went. It was very difficult, obviously. I was seeing my gran for the first time in many years, and she was dying. I tried to keep a smile for her, and she was overjoyed to see me. I don't think I'd seen her cry, ever, before this. While I went to see her, I stayed at her best friend's place, who generously offered her spare room for the couple days I would be there. We talked a lot, and she told me my dad had called my gran's other friend, the one who found me on Facebook, and got furious at her for letting me know of the situation. Like, apparently, I didn't have the right to know that my gran was sick. I then went back home and took too long to call my gran and get some news. I genuinely wanted to keep in touch, but I have always been horrible with this kind of thing. Even my mom, with whom I am very close to, and who is healthy, I sometimes take over a month before picking up the phone and catching up. I tried to call 2 weeks after getting back home, and that was too late. The nurses told me on the phone she'd passed away a week before. I then called her friend, with whom I'd stayed over. She told me my dad had prevented her and everyone from telling me about my gran's passing, That whole thing completely broke me, and I've been in depression ever since. I have hated my father for what he did, and hated myself for not picking up the phone any earlier, every single day since then. And now, fast forward to yesterday. Out of the blue, I got a message request on FB from my dad, saying he wants to reconnect, that he's out all his anger and resentment on the side, and hopes my sister and I can do the same. I don't see how this could even work, and I don't know if I even want this to work, or if I just want to tell him to go himself. I am very suspicious right now, and feel like the relationship is too far gone, way too broken by now to even be able to try anything at this point. I also really don't want to care, and yet I wouldn't be asking other people's opinions if I didn't care. My brain can't process this right now, so that's why I'm asking you guys to have some outside opinions. Should I try? Is it worth it? Or is this some new kind of manipulation and I should avoid him like plague? Update 2. So, I decided to email him back, to try and find out why he was coming back now, after all these years, out of nowhere. And oh boy, am I glad for not having jumped all in? Instead of telling you guys what happened, I think simply translating the emails, with all names redacted of course, will make it much easier to follow. So here we go. Here's the email I sent him, in response to his first messages to try and reconnect. Not a very nice email, I know, but I wanted to see if he had really changed, and if he was actually ready to apologize, or at least recognize what he'd done wrong. Hi, email, not easy to read, nor write. Just trying to be honest here. I don't have an answer to give you yet. I'm thinking about it. I can't get past 13 years and tell myself, let's forget everything and start from scratch in 2 days. I need to think, given the situation. But I do have a question for you. Why now? Your answer won't influence my decision. I just need to understand. My first reaction when reading your emails was, is he dying? Try to understand, 13 years with no contact, and I received this on a Monday morning. Out of the blue, it brings up a lot of questions in my head, and it's not like nothing's happened in these 13 years. Maybe it would be easier if that were the case, or maybe not, I don't know. The last I heard anything about you, via other people, was 2 years ago when Gran was ill. 2 years. That's not long ago, and I'm still recovering from that period. The last 2 years may have been the most difficult years of my life. 2 years of depression, thinking about Gran every single day, being mad at you for not contacting me, hating you for not even telling me when the funerals were going to take place. And because of all this, I won't ever be able to get closure. And yes, I also have some blame in there. Don't think I haven't been mad at myself during the last 2 years as well. I will be mad at myself. And at you, probably my whole life. This story is not something I will ever be able to just forget. Trying to reconnect at that time, 2 years ago, might have seemed more logical to me. When a family goes through this kind of thing, with a family member very sick, they have to get closer to each other, around that family member. At least, that's what I thought. But instead, I had people telling me you got angry at them for just letting me know Gran was sick, like I didn't have the right to know about it. At that time, it seemed very clear to me that I wasn't part of your family at all, and that you wanted me to stay as far away as possible. I felt your hatred, which I never managed to understand. Whatever happened between you and me, I'd always hoped, until then, that if whatever happened for Gran, I would receive a quick email or a message on FB, anything, just to let me know what was going on. But no. So I've had to try and grieve Gran without being able to say goodbye, and I've had to accept the fact that my dad wanted nothing to do with me. It's far from easy, hence 2 years of depression. All the arguments around money, the stories between you and Mom, or even the stories between us and new wife. All of that is very old for me. So old that today, I can't remember everything that has happened. So it could be easy to forget about these if there was all there is to it. But what happened with Gran is something I am still feeling today, and is much harder to get past. So yes, my question is, why now and not 2 years ago? I will wait for your answer. I know reading this email can't be easy. As I said before, it was far from easy to write as well. But if you truly want to reconnect, on my end, I need to understand before I make any kind of decision. He then replied, and his email made me the angriest I had ever been before. Since my following reply includes his whole email, I replied in line, I'll just paste my reply and you'll have his email at the same time. Here goes. Him. Okay, let's be honest and speak freely. Let's talk about Gran. Poor her. May she rest in peace. I think your relationship with her was more than occasional, and that at one point, she got tired of only being contacted for your birthday main. So already here, no. Just no. My relationship with Gran was very good at the time. I was at uni, and I would go spend the weekend at her place very often. We would play yams, I would make pizzas, etc. I have lots of good memories of that period. So no, him. That's why the last years of her life, she had cut contact with you? Yeah, still a money argument. Me. And no again. I remember perfectly the last conversation I'd had with her. I was calling her to tell her I just passed my license degree. And she was mad after you told her that we had apparently stolen your money, and she just hung up. So no, I am not to blame here. You've taken enough from me. I won't let you tarnish my memories of her. And what you probably don't know is that she asked for my forgiveness when I went to see her 2 years ago. She knew perfectly what happened and knew I wasn't to blame in the story. So just no. When I went to see her at uni, I would always try to avoid talking about my relationship with her, to try not to make her sadder that she already was. While on your side, you decided to bury me and break my relationship with her. So if someone is to blame here, that's you, certainly not me. My fault was to accept it without saying anything, and not trying to reconnect after a while. And yes, I blame myself for that. But for everything else, you're gonna have to wake up at some point and accept the consequences of your actions. Him. By the way, quickly on the side, not having any contact with me. Okay, but why did you cut ties with new kids? They didn't have anything to do with the situation. New wife has always felt really affected about this. Me. I wasn't against them, but you lived together. If they'd tried to contact me, I wouldn't have said no, far from it. But here again, you're putting all the blame on me. That's quite easy. Hyam, getting back to Gran. Indeed, I didn't warn you when she got sick, nor when she died, because, and I'll be perfect honest here, I imagined you coming out of nowhere without warning anyone, without having taken any news from her for years, and I imagined you coming to do the inventory. Me. Funny, that's exactly what I told Gran's best friend at the time. It's crazy how you're turning the situation around to your advantage. Let's be clear right now, I don't give a crap about your money. And when I heard about Gran, no, I wasn't the devil you created in your head. I just wanted to see her, for me and for her. No shits given about the Fing inventory. If that was what I cared about, no need to go see her. I could have just found you or taken a lawyer. Him. It's because you cut ties with Gran that I didn't want you there, and that I didn't try to reconnect back then. We were very shocked at the time, with Gran's best friend, about the way you acted. So no, it was absolutely not a question for me to try and reconnect with you then. Me. The way I acted, nobody thought that maybe, just maybe, I needed a moment to process what was going on? Years with no news, and the whole situation gets thrown at me out of nowhere, with no warning. When I received the FB message 2 days later, I was on a plane to go see her. Afterwards, yes, I took too long to call her again when I got back home. And yes, I blame myself for it. But here again, it's very easy to paint me as a devil without having even tried to understand what was going on in my head. Him? To answer your question, why now? Well, I'm asking myself the same. It's been weeks, months that I'm thinking about it, and I'm trying to let my heart speak instead of my brain. Me. Your heart? Seriously? I don't see anything in this email that shows me you even have one. Him. And at the same time, if I didn't do this, would you have done it? I've gone through my past, persuaded myself that I needed to stop banging on about my resentment towards you, which also had consequences on your sister, who didn't do anything. Me. Here, congratulations. This is the best I've heard all year. So you're basically trying to blame the fact that you cut ties with her on me. I must be dreaming. Nobody ever prevented you from taking her on weekends or during holidays when I decided to stop coming. By the way, legally, you had to continue seeing her. But no, you're right. That must be on me again. Him. It's not only during grand happenings that you're supposed to get news from your family or try to reconnect. By the way, I am to blame regarding your sister for not continuing to reply to her messages since 2008. Me? Oh, wow, you're actually accepting part of the blame. It's gonna snow. So, to recap your email. You have absolutely not changed one bit. You stay the manipulator you were 10 years ago. You are a first-class mythomaniac. You've invented a diabolical version of me, your daughter, and truly believe your own lies. Obviously, you're pushing all the blame onto me. Why not? After all, I am a devil who wants to take all of your money. And of course, you're not apologizing for anything. So my answer is an absolute no. I officially do not want anything to do with you anymore. If at your age you still don't realize that the life you invented for yourself is a huge mass of lies, sad for you. But on my end, I will continue living, knowing you once and for all out of my life. I managed the last 10 years. I will live even better now that this whole thing is finally over. So, maybe, thank you. Thanks for proving to me that I was right about you, and that I shouldn't spend even one more second thinking about you. My goal with yesterday's email was to see if you had changed. I have my answer. Don't even try to reply to this email. I am blocking you, and if that doesn't work, I will simply delete every single of your messages when they come in, without reading them. I won't give you the chance to explain yourself. You just did. Everything is clear as day on my end now. I'm going to bring back a sentence you sent me years ago when I had tried to reconnect. You said, "If for you, I don't have a wife, then I don't have daughters anymore." Well, today, I am telling you, if you don't have a daughter, then I don't have a father anymore. Do not ever try to contact me again. I hope that is clear. Not tomorrow, not a year from now, not even on your deathbed. For me, you died today, and there we go. Yes, I know I've been downright nasty, but honestly, I think I needed to get it all out. After reading his email, I felt like I was going to burst out in flames. He really pissed me off, and I feel so much better now. It's like, maybe I needed to push all my anger out, to feel free in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel so much lighter now. I haven't felt like this for years. Feel free to comment, of course, and let me know your thoughts on the email exchange. And again, thank you all so much for the support. I wouldn't have managed to do this without you guys.